A lot of the comments were saying that this show, well, at least the premise behind the story, had to deal with a toxic relationship. Hey, what's going on? Syntell with the Intel. And hey, I did a Jibaro reaction video not too long ago, and it did really incredible. And one of the things that a lot of people were talking about was like, what was like the motivation? What is the backstory? And even the creative aspects of it regarding like the design, sound, all of this stuff. And Netflix put out a series of videos regarding some of the background of the Love, Death, and Robots series. I wanted to start this one off with Jibaro. I know I am probably butchering that name. Please forgive me. Hopefully they'll give me the correct pronunciation of it within this. So I just figured, I think this would be a ton of fun to kind of like walk through and figure out what really is behind the scenes regarding one of the most favorite episodes of season 3. So with that being said, go ahead and give me those thumbs up and let's get started.
Syntell reacts.
Love you some Love, Death, and Robots. This series has just been exceptional.
To animation for adults, you need to be wild and you need to be extreme. Jibaro is like a brutal disaster.
Huh?
What I wanted to do first of all is a story with no heroes, no good characters, and it's just a tragedy.
Huh, okay.
About the most toxic relationship that you can imagine.
Wow. Okay, so there's a good spot to kind of like pause on for a hot second, because a lot of the comments were saying that this show, well, at least the premise behind the story, had to deal with a toxic relationship. And we were trying to figure out the relationship between the two characters, the lady in the water and this knight, and how they got a chance to interact. So let's get into some of the juicy details.
I think that both characters are very much myself. Like many times I go for that thing that feels extremely dangerous.
Right? I'm not mad at that.
Red flags everywhere.
Yeah.
It's kind of like challenging and cool to talk about yourself, especially when it's so intimate and so private.
Huh.
I love animation over anything. Like it's been my passion forever. That's what I always wanted to do. And being able to explore the narrative worlds is extremely satisfying.
Wow. I love when you get a chance to see some like the raw imagery before it gets started like this.
Rich and real because it's actually shot with real characters. In my films, we do work with actors to actually see their emotions, to record their acting in their faces, and obviously their body mechanics.
Wow. All right, so that answers another one of the questions, was exactly how did they do this? Was this like stop motion? Was it just, were they animating it just, freestyling it, or were they, using like real people in order to kind of like get this done? Because one of the things that really made this really stand out was the movement, right? Everything, especially like with the, not just the movement, the physical movement, but also like the movement of some of the jewelry. And I hope they get into some of the details with that, but I'm glad that they got a chance to show us like there were some real actors and actresses making the look and feel of it so authentic.
We got a choreographer, Sarah Silkin, incredible. And then we have a number of really incredible dancers. They were able to own their body and control their body. I'm very obsessed with animation and human movement in general.
Yeah, that's dope.
The intensive work that you have to do in order to create just 15 minutes of animation, which is nuts. We were 72 people. You need to create a world from scratch. You need to design it, you need to model it, you need to rig it. There is a huge amount of process.
Wow. Okay, so we got a chance to see some more of the stop motion again, to kind of go back. Just like a really brief, small little bit of my backstory. I used to actually do some stop motion animation way back in the day. I'm talking about maybe even like 13, 14 years ago, before the technology was the way that it is now. And let me tell you, when I say that it is a full-blown craft, in order for you to have your body speak for you in a way so that the animator can project their image and their vision onto the screen. Big, huge shout outs to all of the people that contribute to the motion acting.
I also wanted to do a homage to nature.
Yeah, I felt that. It felt so organic.
In order to do that, I rent a van and I got inside of the forest and I live basically inside of the forest for 2 weeks. This is something that I usually do. I like to go on location and find the right shots. When I was there, I saw that nature is so raw and so beautiful, and the colors, they were just perfect.
Oh, look at the nice shots. That look, I was just about to say, look how realistic that is. I'm gonna go back a little bit. That part, look, that is the real world, right? And then there's that really cool scene when it's like when they're out at night. And look how close this is. This is insane. Look at that. I feel like it's like a version of, you know how they're starting like method acting, right? When they really put themselves into these positions, into these roles, so that you get like some real authenticity. I feel like this was like method animation.
I was very much also reinventing what a Renaissance parade of nights can look like. It was a pretty cool opportunity to explore color and to explore how color reflects on these armors as well. In 3D, we have the advantage that we don't need to have a body underneath. We don't need to have a man kind of like complaining or an actor saying like, oh my God, this doesn't move well. For the woman, I was very much based in all this beautiful jewelry and headpieces from Western Europe, Russia, India, and north of Africa. I just wanted to create a world that is rich and beautiful.
Okay, so that's a lot. That's a lot of different references regarding some of the cultures that some of this was pinned off of. Look at this. Like, I just wanted to go through this for like a hot second.
Beautiful jewelry and headpieces.
Look at that. Oh, it's cool when you get a chance to see some of the detail. Like I didn't even get a chance to really pay attention to the detail with some of the designs, like around like some of the eyes right here, you know, and even like some of that. Oh my gosh, and to properly animate all of that and keep it moving.
It's from Western Europe, Russia, India, and north of Africa.
India,
I just wanted to
north
create
of
a world
Africa.
that is rich and beautiful.
So good.
It's like a lot of sound in nature, actually. It can be very chill and very quiet, but when you are full on inside of a forest, it's very rich in sound versus what a deaf person might hear. And I did my own interpretation of what this can be.
Wow. Okay. Listen, I don't know if you've done this before too, but I got a chance to listen to the first rendition of this like in my headphones, and they're pretty decent headphones. But the surround sound and all of the intricacies, everything from the water droplets to the sound of the water rushing to even them walking through the grass and the insects and all of that, like the sound design was just on a whole other level. And that muted
This film
sound
is very much about listening. It's not so much about hearing, even though we have a deaf character. It's about listening. Listening in terms of like red flags, not putting attention to red flags or signals. In the case of the woman, she can actually have everything else, but she cannot have that person because you cannot hear her.
Look at this.
It is true that there is a theme that is actually going through all my stories, which is kind of relationships and love. Okay. I am very interested on losers more than in heroes or in superheroes. I find that a super loser is more interesting.
Wow. Okay. That's unique. I haven't heard that before because most people always want to go across like the hero's tale, right? He wants to focus more on the losers. Huh.
I find that a super loser.
Look at this part real quick. Look at this. Look at the detail with all of the skulls and the broken down jewelry and the bodies, all of the bodies she took. Goodness gracious.
More interesting, in my opinion, for the stories that I want to tell. There is still a little bit of a stigma of what is animation, at least on mainstream. Most important is to explore cinema rather than the technique itself of the animation. I would like that we actually break that barrier. Working in this anthology, Love, Death and Robots, I personally feel really free in terms of ideas, exploring new narratives. They were trying something very radical. You can have violence, you can have thriller, horror, nudity, anything that is adult. And that's something that I really appreciate as an artist.
So visceral. Wow. All right, so this was done by director Albert Mielgo. So he's the person that's talking about how all of this went down. And I think one of the big things that kind of like I pulled out of that was him actually going to some of the locations and just allowing himself to be like immersed in the environment. I'm glad that we got the question answered regarding like how they got done, how they did some of the movement and hiring some of the motion processing actors. I can't even think of mocap actors. That's what I'm trying to think of. Sorry. And like the respect that they have for the human form in motion, right? Because it has to tell this story without the use of words. It's also interesting that they picked a character who is deaf, right? But yet the sound design is so important so that you can get like a really good, clear understanding of that contrast between, you know, what it is our main character is going through and what it is that's really going on outside of, you know, what he's able to have context with. And then like the breaking down the mystery of the motivation behind his character and her character. And we get the chance to hear from the director himself, who said, you know, he is a fan of the loser, you know, not necessarily the heroes in here. And that now that I hear that, it adds a whole different kind of context to the overall show in general, because you always want to talk about like the hero's journey, right? That's like basic storytelling, you know, the hero's journey. But nobody really talks about like the loser's journey, and we get a chance to see. It really puts in context, you know, all of the bodies that we see at the bottom of the lake. You know, all of the other losers who have fallen trapped to being in a horrible relationship. And then he kind of like slyly says that you know maybe some of us have been in a bad relationship before, and you know what that's like, and there is sometimes an allure to being in a naughty space per se, you know. I don't recommend dating crazy. Don't do it. But, you know, if you have been unfortunate enough to be in a situation where you can't get out of the bad because you're just so in it, add some more additional context to what we were seeing. Netflix, well done for at least answering some of these questions. Let me know what you think in the comments as well. Some of you all hit the nail right on the point regarding that it is based on relationship. Was there something else that you kind of wanted to hear a little bit more about? You know, I'm sure you can't get into all of those like small little details regarding the animation style and stuff like that. This is just more of like a big like once over to give you a good general idea of why. That's the thing about a lot of these Love, Death, and Robot shows, is that it comes at you so fast that sometimes you don't get a chance to really process everything. So now we're getting an opportunity to see exactly what the vision was. So, you know, if you guys really enjoyed this one, I'll see if I can dig up a couple more and we'll break down some of the inspiration and the whys behind some of these amazing products. Hey, Syntell with the Intel. Let me know what you think in the comments, of course. If you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Go ahead and hit that subscription button and, of course, give me a thumbs up. Catch you later. All right, peace out.